Hello again. Welcome to another episode of Leading from Alignment with our good friend, coach, mentor, John, the one, the only, the Opalewski. How are you today, John?
Embarrassed by that,
Good.
that introduction.
Good. Yeah. I'm
Other than
I'm
that, I'm
excited
well.
about our topic today as I'm in the throes of, of this. And it is something that a lot of people are talking about now. A very important topic for a lot of us. Why don't you introduce your thought for the day?
Sure. The title of episode 345 is From Success to Succession.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm going to take a little bit different take on it today, Jim. I mean, we could talk about a lot of logistical things here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to focus more on the personal side of this.
Mhm.
And today, and how we as leaders can set the organization we lead up for good handoff. And so we're
Yeah.
not going to talk about the nuts and bolts today. We're going to be more ethereal than that. We're
Good.
going to look
Yeah.
at some of the more personal side of the world here. So um, you know that Laura and I have five grandchildren, and
Yeah.
I'm of the mind that they're the most amazing grandchildren on the planet, tied with yours, of course,
Hmm.
for that title.
Yeah.
And several weeks ago, we were at a birthday party, and I just watched the five littles and how they were responding to their parents. I don't know if you ever do that. And I noticed that the parents who were stressed, their babies seemed stressed.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
parents who were calm, those kiddos were calm.
Yes.
And it reminded me of the impact our internal life has on those we love and those we lead.
Yeah.
Our friend Josh Spurlock introduced us to this idea, I think, man, 2 years ago now, called limbic
Yeah.
resonance. And I mean, here's the short version of limbic resonance. The people you lead are going to pretty much take on what is happening in your inner life.
Yeah.
And uh, and so Josh, when he was talking to us about limbic resonance, he said this. He said, we never grow out of our need to be seen, to have another nervous system resonate with our nervous system. And that's exactly what limbic resonance is. It's our nervous system resonating with another human being's nervous system, for better or for worse, right?
Yeah. Right.
So if we wrestle with insecurity, we're likely going to pastor a staff filled with insecure people.
Yeah.
If you're a workaholic driven by fear, you're likely going to lead a very tired team.
Yeah.
Uh, but if you're disciplined and you're growing in your walk with Jesus and developing the fruit of the Spirit, you're likely going to have a team that's consistent, developing, and character filled.
Yeah.
And and so I think when we think about succession, when we think about what are we building that we're going to be able to hand off at some point, I think bringing a more peaceful, joyful, growing version of ourself to the people we lead, Jim, is maybe one of the most helpful things we can do, not only to multiply their health in the moment, but to set them up
Hmm.
for the future, for future
Yes.
leadership. And so I want to stop there for a minute, and I'd
Sure.
just love to hear your initial thoughts on this.
Well, I mean, one of the things that we're talking about, like you and I are, a lifetime being handed off to a younger generation. It's no small thing.
Hmm. That's
So
right.
if we have unprocessed emotions that play into that transition, it's a big deal. We have to be at peace, right? If we're at peace, we bring peace. If we're at war, we
Yep.
bring war. If we're walking in fear, we bring fear. So I'm tracking with you 100%. We should feel as strong about this season of transition as we did about the last transition when we came into this
Mm,
this ministry, this season, this
that's good.
position, this business, and
Yeah.
and believe in the next thing as much as we believed in the last thing as we hand it off. Or people are going to lead with us or without us. And we do create a better dynamic if we're at peace with that transition, and we believe in
Yeah.
it, and we believe in the next leader, and we're yeah. So it is. It's not the ball game, but it's the first 7 innings of the ball game for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So I think this that the pathway to developing that pipeline of leaders
Hmm.
starts with you, starts with me,
Yeah.
starts with those who are watching. Listen, Pastor, if you are wanting to invest and build in the next generation of leaders, of emerging leaders, it's going to start with what's going on inside of you.
Yeah.
That's where it's going to start. Not just what you say, but more impactfully, how you show up when you're around your team.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I wanted to talk about three behaviors that I think help us show up better, show up in a way that is conducive to setting our organization up for life without us.
Yeah.
Because essentially that's what succession is, right?
Yeah.
It's getting the organization we lead prepared for life without us leading
Yeah.
the charge. So
Yeah.
I want to give you these three, and we may
Okay.
have talked about these three in all of 344 podcasts before in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But we're going to dig back into them. And here's the first behavior, and that's just to dig deeper. In
Yeah.
Luke
It's good.
chapter 6, Jesus says this, I will show you what he is like who comes to me and hears my words and puts them into practice. I love the word practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus said that guy, that gal is like a person building a house who dug down deep and laid the foundation on rock. Jim, I'm of the mind that information doesn't equal transformation. I believe practice is the bridge between information and transformation.
Yeah.
So I get
Yeah.
information, it comes in, I
Yeah.
hear his words, right?
You're right.
Practice comes next.
Yeah.
And what the outflow of that is transformative over time. And you know, Jim, multiple times, and even in recent weeks, I've heard the voice of the Spirit speaking to me saying, John, you need to dig deeper.
It's good.
Now, I've been a Christ follower for 52 years, and the discipline of spending time with God was imprinted on me, Jim, very early. I mean, within 24 hours of giving my life to
Yeah.
Jesus,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Love it.
which I'm very grateful for. So for me, the call to go deeper isn't due to neglect. It's this divine summons to slow down
Mm,
and to get quiet on the inside so that
wow.
I can hear God speaking to me and then practice what he says.
Yeah.
Dig deeper. You know, leadership can push you away from God if you're not
Yeah.
careful.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I can you dig down on that one a little bit, John? Because I that may seem counterintuitive. Like I'm called to this. I get my big break. I'm moving in the spirit, and then I fall away from God. It seems counterintuitive, but you're absolutely right in that observation.
Yes. So let's talk about that a little bit. How does leadership, how could leadership push us away from God? I think one of the simple answers is just schedule, right?
Right.
Success sometimes crowds out things in our life and sometimes can crowd out our time with Jesus.
Yeah.
Um, Disappointment in people can sometimes morph into disappointment with God.
Yeah.
Like, God, don't you
Yeah.
know how hard I've worked? God, don't you know how much I've sacrificed? God, and on and on and on.
Yeah.
Why is this happening? And if we're not careful, our calling can actually divert us
Yeah.
from our relationship with God if we're not careful. Most of the time, what I observed when I see that dynamic happening, most of the time it's due to schedule.
Yeah.
And we've got guys that are pastoring these churches that are growing fast and
Yeah.
sometimes faster than they're growing. And
Really. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Huh.
it starts to drive a wedge between them and Jesus.
Yeah.
God forbid that that happens to me or you or anybody else who's watching and listening today. Leadership can drive you away from God, but here's the other side of that. It can actually also push you closer to Him.
Mm.
It can.
Yeah.
When there is this sense of, God, you have called me to do something I'm absolutely, is way beyond my ability.
Yeah.
That pushes me toward dependence.
Yeah.
Most mornings when I get up and pray, one of the prayers that comes out of my mouth, Jim, is God, I can't do it today without you,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful I don't have to.
Right on.
That
Yeah.
you're with me. And so, Pastor, dig deeper, choose closer. Remember limbic resonance. We
Yeah.
reproduce what we are much more than what we say. And so, if we want to have a good succession and we want to build the organization to be strong enough to handle us not being there,
Yeah.
so you and I are going to have to dig deeper.
Hmm. That's good. I like that because it's founded on the rock, right? It's not, you know,
100%.
I when you say that some pastors' churches or ministries or leaders, tasks are outgrowing them. They're so blessed that they're outgrowing the leader. I that scares me a little bit. And at the same time, the fear goes away when I realize if I imagine a tomorrow without Jesus, I'm always scared. If I imagine a tomorrow with Jesus, I'm never scared. So that thought
Mm,
that I today's fruitfulness will require more of him in my life tomorrow, that's not scary. This may outgrow me and I may fail. That's terrifying, right? But to say, no matter
yeah,
where I go, success or failure, God's going with me. What he said to Moses, how am I to go? It's like, well, I'm going with you. I'm not sending you alone. I'm going
that's right.
with you. And I think that thought of wherever God sends us, he goes with us in that journey. And that's that deeper to me. It isn't, I have to
Yeah,
be better. I just have to know the one who is better at a deeper level,
that's right.
and not lose that consistency because I got busy or I got popular or I people want
Yep.
more from me or the demands. It's because there will always be more demands, right? There's always it's an endless
Yeah.
task.
Es-
Being a leader,
Especially if
being a
you're
pastor,
growing,
especially. Yeah,
especially if you're growing, there's
yeah,
there's just
yeah. Oh, yeah.
it's just exponential. So
Well, what got you here is not sustainable and at the next level. You 100
yeah,
people, you got here because you knew everybody's name and you're involved in everybody's life and you're a great pastor. But then it goes to 200. That doesn't work anymore. Now you have to
yeah,
lead leaders and pastor pastors. Now it's 500. That doesn't work anymore. There really is. You need a couple of senior associates. Now there's 5,000 people. It's going to be ever shifting. So that thought that I'm never going to be in a position where I know so much that I'm not utterly dependent on God. That is wisdom. And it's not
yeah,
obvious. That's the glory of kings to search that one out.
yeah. So we want to encourage you. Look, handing off the baton, succession is going to, that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah,
It is if you do it right, if you
yeah,
want to do it well, it is a hard thing to do.
yeah,
Pastor, leader, you're going to have to dig deeper.
yeah,
Let
yeah,
me give you a second behavior, and that is to
yeah,
run smarter.
yeah,
Now, let me explain that. Uh, for the lazy among us, it means we're going to have to pick up the pace, right?
yeah,
Running
yeah,
smarter. If you're lazy, and I don't know too many lazy pastors really. Um, no more coasting.
right.
Yeah, if you're of the mind that, hey, I've got 5 years until I'm out and I'm just kind of coast, um, uh, Jesus is not pleased with that
Mm,
approach.
yeah,
For the
yeah,
workaholics among us, this means we need to slow down.
yeah,
No more skipping Sabbaths,
yeah,
as if Sabbath was the only command that didn't matter.
right.
Keeping the Sabbath holy.
Yeah,
Um, and I believe this, that labor is a gift from God,
yes, it is.
and laziness or workaholism are perversions of that gift.
That's good, John. Yeah, good way to say that.
That I've perverted this gift of labor.
Yeah.
And we've said this multiple times that healthy leaders who reproduce other healthy leaders who will one day be able to take the organization and move it further have to learn to live and lead in between the 35-yard lines, between those two end zones
Yeah.
of workaholism and laziness. So, in the early part of my life, ministry life, I lived and worked near or in the workaholic end zone.
Yeah.
And for those of us who lived there, there's a lot of there could be a lot of contributing factors to that. I want to talk about one, and that's fear. Fear is
Yeah.
often the accelerator of our pace. The fear of failure, the fear of not having enough, the fear of other people's opinion of our work ethic,
Mhm.
um, even the fear of what we'll discover about ourselves if we slow down.
Interesting.
But here's the thing, those that we lead are going to learn volumes from the pace we keep,
Yeah.
whether it's lazy or whether it's frenetic.
Yeah.
Now, I want to stop there. I want to get your thoughts. I got a couple more things I'd like to share in this second behavior, but I'd love to just hear your thoughts on this, Jim.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a runner. I take that back. I am a runner. I've never won a race. I've literally been in a 10-mile race where the winner was announced and I was on mile 3. So that I'm not, there are antelopes and there are rhinos on the Serengeti. I squarely fall into the second category. I love to run. I'm just not good at it. But I know this, that the difference for me between a good race and a bad race is pace. If I
Yeah.
sprint in the first few miles, I am toast for the length of the race. If I go out too slow, my time is not satisfying. There's a sweet spot, right, between
Hmm.
running too fast, running too slow, and that takes time. I haven't met, and maybe this is true, maybe it's not, maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. I met very few great leaders who didn't lead themselves to a place of some form of burnout, but they discovered that to be painful and then learned from the pain and backed
Hmm.
off their pace. So maybe their first race was not their best race. Our first race should never be our best race because we learned
Yeah.
something from that race. Our first year in leadership, our first senior pastorate, our first, company should be our best one because we should be learning. So I think that I would just what I'm hearing you say is whatever. How do I know it is a smart pace? Well, it's pain will tell you you're going too fast, and a lack of satisfaction, motivation, accomplishment should tell you you're going too
Bored,
slow.
boredom
Yeah,
would
yeah.
be one. Yeah.
I'm a leader, but now I'm finding myself managing. So it's kind of like homework. What's the least I can do and get through algebra? That's not the way a
Right.
believing leader should go to work. We should go to work with a vision in our heart, fire in our belly, something worth fighting for, and we're going to present this to the Lord. So if you're in pain right now, emotionally, physically, spiritually, a loving God created pain to tell you something's wrong, where it's
Yes.
located. And now it's up to you to do something about it. And the difference between the knowledge we're talking about and the wisdom you need is you need to respond to this knowledge. You need to apply it
Yes.
or you'll find yourself in a world of
Yeah.
hurt. And if your staff isn't sticking around, if your wife doesn't want to be involved in the church anymore, if your kids resent the people around you, these are painful things. And instead of
Yes.
saying, well, everybody else is wrong, ask yourself, what is wrong and what can I do to make it better and
Right.
adjust your pace? Because to run smarter is to respond to pain and lethargy with equal horror and
That's good.
adjust into that 50-yard line.
I love it. I love it. Again, I want to just reemphasize this, that succession is a big, that's, you're trying to accomplish a very difficult thing.
Yeah.
Very few people do this well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think part of the reason is as they're moving toward that, they've forgotten about what's going on the inside of me is more impactful than anything else that comes out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, although what's going on inside of me probably will dictate what comes out of my mouth many, many times.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's a couple of ways that we run smarter. We adopt some good rhythms, daily
Yeah.
rhythm. We've
Yeah.
talked about this before. And then there was evening, and then there was morning, the first day, Genesis 1:5. That phrase is repeated 6 times in Genesis chapter 1, and it speaks to stopping. and starting
Yeah.
points. This daily rhythm has to do with knowing, hey, when it's time to start work, and some of you need to start work earlier,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and some maybe a little later, and when to stop work every day. Here's why this is so important. I mean, it's so important for a lot of reasons. Let me just give you one reason that your team and the people you pastor are watching you
Yeah. That's good, John.
and they're going to emulate
Yeah.
you. And you're planting seeds in future leaders, and either those seeds are going to bear good fruit or not.
Yeah.
So how you manage your pace matters from the day to day, your daily pace. There's a weekly rhythm. You know, after
Mhm.
completing the work of creation, God rested on the seventh day. We all know that. He didn't he didn't rest because he was tired. He didn't
Right.
he no,
Right.
he rest to set an example
Right.
for ambitious people, including ambitious pastors.
Yeah.
And this was set, this rhythm, this weekly rhythm was set at the beginning of time. It's highlighted throughout Scripture, and 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 it is this weekly reset. It is this weekly reminder that what I do, what the assignment I have, man, it's God's baby. Every
Yeah.
week it reminds me this is not mine.
Yeah.
This is yours. You want to set a good example for the people who are going to follow you? Help them to understand that this thing that God has called them to do does not belong to them.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
theirs. And
Yeah.
that solves so many problems when we understand that God, that it doesn't mean we say, oh God, it's all yours. I got nothing to do. No, come
Right. Go
on.
play golf. Right. Yeah.
Let's not be ridiculous.
Yeah.
My point is, it more often than not, we can drift into this mindset, Jim, that this is my baby. It's all on me. I
Yeah.
gotta, I gotta hustle. I've gotta push. I've gotta overdo it because, and we get out of whack,
Yeah.
and the people around us suffer.
Yeah.
Not just, they don't just suffer because of how fast we're making them run. They suffer because they are being taught a poor way
Yeah.
to lead.
Yeah. It reminds me of agriculture. That you plant, you water, but God causes the growth. There will never
Yeah,
be something that grows without the blessing of the Lord. And that thought of I can earn that blessing or I can somehow supersede that blessing. You don't want to. You want to be blessed. The difference between
mhm,
swimming in waves and surfing in waves is profound. If you're
that's right.
swimming, every wave is a headache. Every wave is an obstacle.
That's
If you're
right.
surfing, every wave is an opportunity. One, the wave is a blessing sent by God. The other one, it's an obstacle. I just think everybody should, what is God blessing? What is his command? What what is my calling? What is my assignment? Consider
Yeah,
that blessed. And then, a farmer that goes out and looks at his field and says, "Yeah, there's no corn this year. It must be God's fault." Well, did you plow? Did you plant?
right.
Did you fertilizer? Did you weed?
That's right.
Even though God provides the blessing, again, work is a blessing. And the
That's
Lord
right.
blessed them and said, "Be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, subdue it." That's a blessing. That's not a
That's
curse.
right.
The ground becomes cursed shortly afterward, but the work never does. There'll always be
Yeah.
opposition now. We have a blessed activity on cursed ground. So there's always going to
No, that's
be
good.
Sister Coleslaw that's upset about the organ. You know what I mean? There's always going to be somebody that wants to have an issue with you. But yeah, but the work itself is a blessing from God and it's to be enjoyed. And man,
Yeah.
like you're back to that thought of perverting it, that workaholism or laziness perverts that gift. That that's
Absolutely.
a that's a beautiful picture. That really is helpful to me to
And,
visualize that.
and I'll just say one more thing, and then we'll get to this third behavior, is
Yeah.
that, Jesus talks about taking his yoke in
Hmm.
Matthew chapter 11. Jim, a yoke has to do with pace, how
Yeah.
fast, how slow those oxen are going to move.
Yeah.
If you're coasting, Jesus is going to try to speed you up.
Hmm. Yeah.
If you're running 120 miles an hour with your hair on fire, Jesus is going to slow you down.
Yeah.
His yoke for us is perfect.
Yeah.
It's a perfect fit. Our
Yeah.
self-imposed yoke is not.
Yeah.
Neither is the yoke other people want to impose on us. So run
Yeah.
smarter, dig deeper, run
Yeah.
smarter. Let me
That's
give
right.
you one more. We're talking about multiplying health to those you
Yeah.
lead as you think about succession, and that is to reach wider. Reach wider. We can't reproduce health in those we lead while we're holed up in our office all day long,
Yeah.
every day. Now, sometimes I got to hold myself up in my office because I got writing to do, or I, and I,
Yeah.
but if that's all I do, um, you know, I'm not going to, I'm not setting the team, I'm not setting the organization up for life without me if I hole up in my office and I'm never with my team.
Yeah.
Several weeks ago, Laura and I had dinner with good friends we hadn't seen in a long time. And Jim, it was so refreshing just to
Yeah.
spend time laughing and
Yeah.
sharing a meal and talking about life with people who love Jesus and are
Yeah.
deep thinkers. Um,
Yeah.
their depth made us deeper.
Mm.
Their strength made us stronger. And I believe this is true, that it is impossible to multiply healthy leaders without FaceTime
Yeah.
with those leaders.
Yeah.
See, your staff, your lay leaders need FaceTime with you.
Yeah.
They need clarity from you. They need to see how you handle conflict. They need to watch how you love your spouse and kids, how you
Yeah.
love Jesus. And so, Pastor, part of this uh, life without the life of the organization without you
Yeah.
is not, you're going to be tempted to start pulling away from people.
Yeah.
Could be for a variety of reasons. It could be you're already, listen, this could be it, part of it. You're already mourning the idea of no longer being the leader, and in your heart, not in your
Mm.
conscious awareness, but subconsciously, you're starting to pull away from people because this is how you respond to grief.
Yeah.
This is how and so part of it could be that, or some of it is you're just so busy doing your normal role, and then you're thinking about the future and trying to work on that, that sometimes the people right in front of you get squeezed out of the equation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, listen, um, I just love to hear your thought on this, and I got one more thought, and then you can wrap us up.
You
I
know,
could talk
one of
about
the
this for 10 minutes.
yeah.
I
What
don't want to do
one of the highlights of my adolescence was I got to be a part of a 375 person marching band. We had
that.
flag girls and baton twirlers and drum majors, and we got to go to Washington, D.C. and Orlando to Disney, and it was a great band. And you say, how do you get a great band in high school? And the answer is we had a really good fifth grade music teacher. And
Mm,
if you looked at everybody in that room, when did you first pick up a saxophone, a pair of drumsticks, a trombone? They really invested in the music program at the elementary level. And I think this is what we can make a mistake sometimes, is we only hang out with the first chair violinist. We only hang out with the first chair. These are our people. And once they age out or mature beyond or get assigned elsewhere, all of a sudden there's no team because we
mm,
stopped putting money and time and energy into the fifth grade band. And by the way, music at fifth grade was terrible. It was like a one-man band falling down a staircase. That's what our concert sounded like, you know. But it was the genesis of what we were enjoying as this massive. We're the official pep band for the Detroit Lions. We did halftime
there you
shows
go.
in professional football. It was wonderful. We thought we were the best band ever. Then we realized that our school was Lakeland. Our colors were silver, blue, and white, and we had a big L on our chest. Turns out more we looked like the Lions pep band, but still we got the gig. So we were the official pep
Yeah.
band of the Detroit Lions football when they were terrible, by the way, and nobody watched. But it started in fifth grade. I'd say that to the leaders that are listening. Like if you want great leaders on your varsity team, never ignore your fifth graders. You have
Oh, so
got
good.
to and what's funny is a fifth grader needs about 10 minutes of your time to make them feel a part of the team
Sure.
and find out who's there and then spend that time and make investment. And you'll never
That's
be
right.
without leaders if you spend time with those who have potential to lead.
That's right. And so, Pastor, leader, if you're in a season of life where you're starting to think about what's it going to look like when I'm not leading anymore,
Yeah.
um, can I encourage you to maybe do something counterintuitive, and that's just to dig deeper in your
Yeah.
walk with Jesus, to run smarter,
Yeah.
and to reach wider. Jim, I discovered this. I never knew this before, but recently, that redwood trees, they can grow over 300 feet tall,
Crazy.
uh,
Yeah.
but their root systems are surprisingly shallow. I
Yeah.
didn't I didn't know that,
Yeah.
and they're often only 6 to 12 feet deep, the roots.
Yeah.
And so how do they survive wind and storms and things like that? Here's how it is. Their roots intertwine
Yeah.
with the roots of the other redwoods around them. They literally hold each other up.
Yeah.
And their strength comes
Mm.
from being not how tall they are, it's from being connected to the other trees around them. And I think leadership and succession works the same way.
Yeah. I agree.
Healthy leaders don't just produce followers, they cultivate other healthy leaders whose lives become intertwined with one another.
Yeah.
And our goal is never to be a giant tree that everyone depends on. The
Right.
goal is to help create this forest of
Yes.
trees because someday the church you lead won't need you.
Yeah.
Your position will be filled by somebody else.
Yeah.
But if you've done the homework, if you've learned how to dig deeper, run smarter, and reach wider, your influence will remain long after you're gone. And so,
Yeah.
Jim, that's what I've got today.
Yeah, I love it, John. That's good. It's difficult. You pour your life into something with a belief almost like high school. I thought it'd never end, and then it did. And then the military, I thought it'd never end, and it did. And we put our lives into things, and it feels like it's going to last forever. But all things come to pass; they don't come to stay. And I think that thought of Jesus led always with his absence in mind.
He
You know,
did.
that that's a
Yep.
that's a good lesson for all of us. He always led with his absence in mind. So he did the stuff and they watched, and then they did the stuff and he watched, and then he sent them to go do the stuff. And I think in my mind, I just this my closing thought here is that if you think winning a ball game is fun, wait until your kids win a ball game that you coached them on. It's
There you
10
go.
times more fun. Being a
Yep.
great parent was great. That's great. But watching your kids be great parents, it's 10 times better. Being a
That's
great
right.
pastor, leader, entrepreneur is great. You know what's better? Having children, if you will, or prodigies that succeed with you or beyond you is 10 times better. So maybe if the sense of this being over with is sad, then don't let it be over with. Make your greatest investments and hand off your life's work to another generation that will take it farther and learn from
Yep.
you. So God bless you guys. And thanks, John, for sharing this. I think we're both we're both at a stage of life where we don't need a barber anymore, and there's a certain wisdom that comes with that, and there's a certain pain that comes with that. So it's helpful
Yeah.
for me to hear your thoughts. And I notice for our listeners and watchers as well. And so I would say this too. You're probably blind to some things that you need to see to do this well. And this is where coaching really does come in. Someone who is not emotionally involved at the level you are can logically see things that are obvious and say things that maybe you'd struggle with that other people need to hear or that you need to hear that you'd struggle with. And this is a good time for coaching. I will not. I'm 60 years old, so I'm staring down the barrel of succession here in some ways, but I won't do this on my own. I don't know what I don't know, and I need to do it well. So coaches will
Yeah.
be involved in this, leaders will be involved in this, fathers, those who've done this well will be involved in this, and you need this. So
Yes.
if you're looking at better ways to be more effective, you're 40 years old, but you want to hand things off, you need a coach. You need a mentor. You need a father. You need someone that has done this and done it well enough that they can speak to the things. You don't need to trip over the same stuff other people tripped over. So Converge Coaching is here for you in a myriad of ways, but probably none that are as important as this one. If you work really hard
Mm.
for 30 years and the next guy blows it in 30 weeks, you
Yeah.
we don't want that to happen any more than you do. So convergecoach.com, press on the link. Let's spend 30 minutes, talk about this and see if we can't help you see things you don't see, know things you don't know, introduce you to people that have done it well, whatever it is. We want to see this be the most successful thing you've ever done. And when that
Yeah.
happens, it's 10 times better than your success. So God bless you. Our watchers and listeners, we're praying for you. We know it's tough. We know that God's grace is tougher still. So you will do it, and you'll do it well as you continue to lead from alignment.